Hello, friends. My name is Jake. This is Returning Retro, and I am happy to have you today for a very fun video. I am going to be talking about a platypus. Well, a phone that, like a platypus, it's kind of hard to really define it because it has a mixture of attributes from a number of different phones, just like a platypus is like 5 different animals combined into one. Is it a dumb phone? Is it a smartphone? Is it kind of both, but also neither? The answer to all of the above is yes. So this is my real world review of the Bigme HiBreak Pro. I like a real world review, and I thought I could take my experiences and transmit those to you guys so that you can know either to inform yourself as to whether or not this might be a good fit for you or to learn a bit more about the device if you already have it. The Bigme HiBreak Pro is a very neat device. It has most of the attributes of a regular modern smartphone with one big exception, and that is the monochrome screen. You can see here on standby, it has an e-ink display that makes for a very pleasant viewing experience when it comes to things like ebooks, documents, text, but a very awful experience for things that most people get sucked into their modern smartphone and stuck doing, such as social media, short form video, that type of thing. So for that reason, it's very nice in the more dumb phone leaning category, but at the same time, from a productivity standpoint, you still have all of the apps that you need because it's running full Android with the Google Play Store. You can see there. I kind of tried to use this device 2 different ways, using it more as a dumb phone, very, very limited in terms of the apps that I installed, and then also as more of a regular smartphone experience, putting on all of the apps that I would use on any old Galaxy or iPhone, and the battery life varied wildly. So as you could imagine, with the more apps, with the more background app refresh, the battery tended to go pretty quickly. However, using it more as a dumb phone, it lasted me on one time about 2.5 days, and that wasn't even me necessarily trying to stretch it. A couple of features that I found really neat in that regard are over here when you're looking at the phone on the left side, you have the custom keys. Well, let's just jump into read error really quickly. The volume buttons, which are these ones over here, you can already use for page turning. You can see here it refreshes really nice. That leaves the custom keys over here on the left to be able to be used as you like. So I have it set to be pressed down once on the bottom as a full refresh, press down twice, and it brings up the e-ink center so you can change your settings as you like. And then hold will bring on the illumination, which is pretty neat. So then the top button I have single tap is back, double tap is recent apps, and a long tap is home. To show you all the different options, let's go here to the full settings and then custom key. So you can see here, it lets you customize both of them. Let's just go in and show all of the different options you can see here. So the first page of options there, second page there, third page there. So some of the apps that I tested that seemed to work fine, WhatsApp worked fine, Telegram worked fine, the navigation, I put Google Maps on, worked fine. And again, I need to have the asterisk there, fine, but with the e-ink display. It definitely changes the experience quite a bit, but in terms of functionality of the apps, they worked great. Dual SIM functionality, I had a T-Mobile SIM and a Verizon SIM in at the same time. Both got data, both called and texted just fine. I didn't have any issues with those. Naturally, you do run into some limitations if the carrier that you use doesn't support the bands built into this. But for me, I was able to get 5G service strong enough to not really have any complaints. The fingerprint scanner is embedded into the power button right here on the right side, and I found it to be okay. I would put maybe 80% of the time would get me on the first try. The other 20% of the time I would have to reposition my finger. I assume will get better with time. Bigme has done a great job in pushing out software updates. In fact, in the almost 3 weeks that I have had it, when I first opened it, there was a software update ready. And then about a week after that, a new software update came out with some improvements. So good job to Bigme for pushing out those software updates. I do think it will be better with time. Now, this brings me to one of my first sort of complaints, or maybe an area of needs improvement. This version of Android that they have, the Android skin, leaves a little bit to be desired. I found that notifications could be sometimes a bit spotty. I don't think it manages background processes super great. For calls, no problems. Texting, again, no problems. But some of the messaging apps, when I was using it in smartphone mode, I put on Discord, I put on the Reddit app, very hit or miss. Definitely some needs improvement there. Additionally, I never could get RCS working. I put on Google Messages. I tried it with a couple of different SIM cards. Android Auto, similar case. I updated it. I cleared the cache. I did everything that I could to try and get it working. I had read that some people had some issues with voice forwarding or call forwarding apps. I put Google Voice on it and was able to make and receive calls no problem. So maybe that kind of depends on which one you're using. I do like the way Bigme has implemented the illumination of the screen. Most of the time using this, I would have it on lights out. That I found to be the best use case for me because I'm either in a room with lighting or outside. However, you do have the daytime preset, which actually gets very bright. Let me just do a refresh here. There we go. Get rid of those ghostings. So I found myself using the night preset anytime during the day if I was in a room that didn't quite have enough light to be able to use the lights out setting well. And then bedding that they have here, I think intended to be used if you're using it in bed at night. I found this to be the best just nighttime setting. And then when I would be in a fully dark room, laying in bed at night, maybe reading a book to fall asleep, I would go over to other and set it to about 3 on the warm light and about 4 on the cool light, which you probably can't even tell a difference here, but it makes a big difference when you're in a fully pitch black room. And then, yeah, go back to lights out. Bluetooth seemed to be working fine every time I tried to use it. Wi-Fi, I didn't have any connectivity problems with Wi-Fi. Unlike some e-ink devices in this category, it does have a dark mode, which brings me to my next point, the refresh rates. Right now, I have the settings app to default to the video refresh profile. If you take it to default and we scroll through a bit, you can see passable. Let's give you a look at magazine as well. Much slower refresh. This is actually the one that I use most frequently with most of my different use cases, by the way. And then if we go to comic, very similar, but not quite as good as, naturally, video, which again, works very nice. I did have a request for this, so shout out to AKA the Viking. Let's go and look at what the YouTube/video performance is like on the various different profiles. So I'll just go ahead here and do this video of myself. We'll turn the volume down so that you don't hear me talking over me. Okay, so you can see there, not terrible. If we pull open the e-ink center, I've got that set to default to video. This is in just the stock browser app. So let's move it back to default. And you can see here the refresh mode in the default profile is fast. You can notice it's not quite as smooth. And there's a lot more ghosting or maybe artifacting. Let's pull up the e-ink center again. Let's move it over to magazine, which you'll see has HD 256, which is the crispest, but also the slowest refresh. Oh boy, look what I've done to myself. Pull it up one more time. Let's move it over to the comic, which takes it to the regal refresh. You can see there it's a little bit better, but not quite to where we would want it if we were viewing this on a long-term basis. And then let's, of course, move it over to video, back there. And again, you can see it's a passable experience, but beware of the battery drain. Another little software quirk that hopefully they can fix with a software update down the road is it doesn't matter which SMS, MMS app I use as the default, go in and set it as the default and disable the one that came stock. I get a notification from both. So for example, coming in, you see that initial notification comes in from the built-in messaging app, and then The default app, which in my case is Textra, comes in thereafter. Not really sure why that is. I tried everything I could and it won't go away. So maybe in the future they'll fix that. Custom launchers work great. I didn't really care for the one that came stock from the factory. I ended up settling on Niagara. Camera quality is nothing to write home about. So here's an example of my backyard. Lots of natural light, remaining stationary. Here's a picture of the Rubik's Cube sitting here on my desk indoors, artificial lighting. You can see it's pretty grainy. And then here's one in a somewhat low light situation of my dog. Not great. A couple of, I feel like, missed opportunities. This little bad boy does not have a headphone jack. Neither does it have an SD card slot. I know that many people that are shopping for a device in this segment want both of those things very, very much, especially those of us at Returning Retro or other digital minimalists. It does have an infrared blaster on the top of it, but I couldn't get it to work. And I have seen other people reporting the same. Hopefully that's something that comes down the line. And I thought we could do some size comparisons. So first, we've got here the Unihertz Titan Pocket, another common dumb phone or retro-inspired smartphone. You can see, obviously, dwarfs. We've got an iPhone 11. You can see there. And we've got a Rubik's Cube. So, what are my final thoughts on the Bigme HiBreak Pro so far after using it here for almost 3 weeks as my only device? That's an important distinction. I didn't use this with a companion device. This was my only device that I carried with me every day. I think it's really great and a lot of potential. I have no complaints from the hardware side of things. As I discussed a little bit, there are some software fixes that I think that they need to do to make this a truly excellent device. It's not going to go head to head with any of the flagship smartphones out there, but it's also clearly not intended to be. For people looking for a device that would be a good transition away from the modern smartphone experience to something that is a little bit more of a dumb phone, maybe a retro-inspired smartphone, this could be the one for you. I found that it was a very enjoyable use case as I used it in more a minimal dumb phone fashion as opposed to a full smartphone fashion. If you use a lot of video, if you use a lot of navigation, if you treat it like it's basically a regular smartphone, it will just drain your battery. So take that information, use it as you will. But at this point, 3 weeks in, I really like it. I think that there's nothing but potential here. And with some software updates and some optimizations, it could be a truly great device. So thanks for stopping by, guys. That is my real world review of the Bigme HiBreak Pro. If you found this information useful, go ahead and like, subscribe, and even more importantly, share the channel with a friend. I hope this has been helpful for you. We'll see you in the next one.